Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of SacTown Movie Buffs. Once again, I'm Kier, and this is Jason. And today we are back doing two more review shows. We're going to be doing Possessor and Run are going to be the two films we'll be reviewing today. Both can be found streaming online. Possessor I found on Amazon, I believe, and then Run, I believe, is on Hulu exclusive. So that's where I found them. So, well, I say without further ado, we kind of just get right into it. So we'll go ahead and get this started. First show being Possessor. So I'm going to have Jason go ahead and take that one real quick, if I can actually find it. So. Oh. I can't find the image, so.
Okay.
So just 1 second, we'll get that rolling. That's my bad. For some reason, it just disappeared on me. So I'll go ahead and get this uploaded here, so you'll have something to look at, you know, when you're talking about it. So
I'm gonna disappear on you in a second. So
there we go. There it is.
There we go. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so Possessor is a science fiction film, science fiction horror film, I would say. Science fiction horror thriller, somewhere around there. It is set presumably in the near future. It doesn't really specify what time period it's set, but it's a science fiction film involving technology that we don't have yet. So one would presume that it's in the future. But it's a really interesting idea. It's about this technology where someone can basically overtake the mind of somebody else and have that body do things for them. So it involves a kind of an agency that's kind of an assassin agency, and the main character is an assassin who is paid to use this technology to project her mind into someone else's mind and have that person kill the person that they want to kill, and then that person will shoot themselves, and then it's blamed on the person whose body they were using, obviously. So it's a really interesting idea. And this movie, it stars, I don't really know how to pronounce her name, but Andrea Riseborough. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but I really like this actress. She's been in a lot of cool movies like Mandy, Birdman, she was in a few other movies that I can't think of right now, but she's a really talented actress. And it stars Christopher Abbott, who you might know from the HBO series Girls. He was on that for the first couple of seasons before he left the show. But anyway, she stars as the assassin who is undertaking another. She's kind of burnt out. The implications is she's kind of burnt out, kind of on the edge, but she takes this big, important, high-paying job anyway to project herself into the mind of Christopher Abbott's character so that he can kill his soon-to-be father-in-law, who is an extremely wealthy software company magnate or something like that. Basically, it's a high-paying job, and he's going to be, well, with her mind, he's going to be killing his soon-to-be wife and soon-to-be father-in-law, and it'll be blamed on him, obviously. So it's directed by Brandon Cronenberg, who, of course, is the son of David Cronenberg. And you can tell here that the apple does not appear to fall far from the tree, because with this film and his first film called Antiviral, which I liked a lot, came out in 2012, I think. Mm-hmm. But both of his films have definitely been influenced by his father's work. Definitely, because they're both very concentrated on what's called body horror, you know, where the subject of the horror in the film is kind of this, kind of the ways in which the body and flesh can be manipulated, and kind of gross, slimy intersection of the body with technology. That's all here. It's very, very reminiscent of his father's films like Videodrome and The Fly and stuff like that. So I like that kind of stuff. I'm a big fan of those kind of queasy, creepy body horror, sci-fi type stuff, like Videodrome, like The Fly, Dead Ringers, that kind of stuff. So I was really pumped to see this movie. It's got one of my favorite teasers that I've seen in a long time. I've watched the teaser probably 20 times, to be honest. So yeah, I enjoyed this movie a lot. I didn't think it was perfect. I still think he's got a little bit of ways to go in refining his own vision and making it a little more separate from his father's. Because right now, his first two films, even though I like them a lot, they are very much in the shadow of his father's films, which there's nothing wrong with. I just want to see him take it somewhere a little bit his own direction. But I thought the acting was really good. I thought it was a little bit slow to begin with. I thought it, I don't know. I have mixed feelings on the ending, because the ending is I think it's a twist. I need to watch it again to see if I'm right in my reading of the ending. But if what I'm supposed to take from the ending is what I thought, man, that's a dark ending. So it's definitely a bleak movie, a really, really violent movie, even more violent than I was expecting, which I was expecting it to be pretty violent, knowing his work and his father's work. But yeah, it was even more bleak and disturbing than I thought it would be, which is saying something. So definitely don't watch this movie if you're just in for like a light thriller or a light anything really. It's pretty dark and disturbing, but I did like it, and I do look forward to watching it again sometime to see if what I think was happening at the end is actually what was happening. So. But yeah, I dug it. I didn't love it, but I dug it. How about you, Kier?
Yeah, I'm not as big of a Cronenberg senior fan as you are. I mean, his movies, his style is very weird, which is a little off-putting to me sometimes. And so this is kind of more of a in that same vein. I kind of agree with a lot of things that you said, just in terms of the comparison. Though it seems like he's kind of just taking the same mold that his father took without. You know what I mean? Like I watched this film and could kind of be like, well, his father could have probably just as easily directed this film. You know what I mean? So it would be nice to see kind of his own style. I mean, and I get it. We're all influenced by somebody, but he's so heavily, obviously influenced by his father's style that, it's hard to really kind of separate the two, because it has that same, like you said, weirdness to it, the visual imagery to it, and that sort of stuff. As far as the film itself, I can't say that I was bored or anything like that. I mean, obviously, it is one of those films where you're trying to exactly figure out what's going on. And so I had a little bit of issues just in terms of, I don't know if it was the pacing or if it was just the explanation of it. And maybe that's fine that they didn't want to explain exactly, how all that stuff worked in terms of the mind control and that sort of thing. So it was a little strange to kind of figure out exactly, how they were doing this. And, you never really find out exactly, who's hiring these people or you know what I mean? It's like kind of a weird way to be kind of like, I guess, an assassin and then kind of, I guess, blame it on somebody else because you basically took over their mind versus actually having a real assassin. So I guess it's unique in that sense. But overall, it's probably not a film that I'm personally going to revisit in films, in my opinion. So, and it is violent, but there isn't, for an assassin film, I wouldn't say that there's, except for maybe towards the latter half, there's not a whole lot of death, really. Most of it's just trying to figure out what the heck's going on and try to piece together how all this is supposed to work with this mind control and that sort of thing. So, so I think there's definitely a crowd that'll enjoy this film and like it. I just might not be fully in fold of that camp. So, so it's just a style choice. Some people will like this style and some people won't. It's definitely not a film for everybody, though, I would say.
Oh, no, definitely not. Definitely not. You're right. There's not a whole lot of, a few people get killed, but the way it's done is definitely pretty harsh. I'll put it that way. It's pretty, the violence, even though it only involves, I don't know, maybe 4 people, I guess. It's pretty brutal what happens to those 4 people. So, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I don't know. I always hate to say I wish there was more violence, but I mean, I kind of do wish there was more to it than that. You know what I mean? Like I don't feel like they explored the whole mind control enough, in my opinion. I don't know. Maybe that's part of the issue I had with it. I don't know if maybe that's not what they were going for. But it played more like a drama than it did like this action assassin film that I was kind of hoping it was going to be more towards. And don't get me wrong, there is enough action and violence, I guess, to keep you entertained. But there are huge chunks in the middle where there's not a whole lot of that really going on. You know what I mean? So it's like there's a little bit in the beginning, then you have this whole stretch of like this middle of the film, and then a little bit of violence at the end, kind of thing. So and that's kind of what I take away from it. So it's hard to even say it's really an action film or it's an assassin film, but I wouldn't even necessarily classify. I think it's more drama, if anything, with some very violent scenes, parts at the beginning and at the end, pretty much is the way I looked at it. So, but like I said, there's definitely a crowd that would probably enjoy this film. And I didn't hate it. It's just not one that I would probably revisit or say that I necessarily loved. So I'll leave it at that. So,
all right,
cool. All right. Well, that's that. Anything else you wanted to add about Possessor?
No.
All right.
About it.
Well, that was pretty easy.
Yeah.
Moving on to the second film, and I'll take this one. Is going to be Run. So Run stars Sarah Polley and Kira Allen.
You mean Sarah Paulson, right?
Oh, Sarah Paulson and Kira Allen. Sorry, it's Sarah Paulson and Kira Allen. I don't know Kira Allen too much. I mean, everybody knows Sarah Paulson though. To describe this one, so basically, it's about. So the film kind of basically begins with Sarah Paulson's character basically having a baby that's born, either prematurely, but has all these like health issues basically. So that's kind of like the opening scene. And then they basically flash forward to roughly about 17 years later, where she's the mother and the kid is basically, has grown up and has all these health issues, basically, like asthma. She has paralysis. She has just all kinds of just like health issues and has pretty much been living her life like inside of a house. So she's uses a wheelchair. She can move her hands and that sort of stuff, but she's like kind of wheelchair bound. And she's, very bright, very intelligent, really into like robotics and that sort of stuff. And, has applied to like several colleges and that sort of stuff. And it seems like her mother and daughter had a pretty good relationship, although the daughter is basically, been pretty much living in the house the entire time. I mean, I guess they get out and go to the movies and that sort of stuff, but I don't even know if she was, I want to say she might have even been homeschooled or something like that. So that's just what I gathered from the way it was set up, because she was like doing homework and stuff like that at the house, and you never see her actually go to school or anything. So, and the daughter, doesn't seem like she has any friends. She doesn't have a cell phone. The mother kind of keeps limited access to the internet and social media and that kind of stuff in the house. So the daughter is pretty much just a mother and daughter living in the house for the most part. And the daughter's been applying to all these colleges and been trying to get into school, and she's on all these kinds of like, medications that she has to take like 5 or 6 different medications for all these different elements every single day. And then at some point she starts to see some things about her mother that make her question, maybe her mother's intentions in terms of like the colleges she's applying to. She's waiting for like these acceptance letters, but every time she goes to like check the mail, the mother's like checking the mail before she even gets there. There's a scene where like, the daughter kind of like sees the mailman coming and, goes to the door, and the mother wasn't home. And then the mother opens the door, like with a car door still open, like she just bolted and ran to get the mail, maybe to like stop her from, getting the mail, maybe, and the theory is maybe the mother just, wants her daughter to stay home and doesn't want her to leave. And it kind of goes from there. And that's pretty much all I can really say without going, I guess, a little bit too much into spoilers, because it's kind of a drama movie. It's kind of like a movie where you're trying to figure out, like, what the mother's intentions are for the daughter, and the daughter starting to like basically question, the mother's intentions and whether she's genuine. She even starts having questions about the medications that the mother's giving her, like, what are all these meds for? And she starts seeing certain things with the medications, like that were like should have been maybe in the daughter's name, but had the mother's name on the medication. So she's like, well, is this medication for me or is it for you? And so there's a lot of different elements and questions that kind of take place in it. So it's a drama. It's kind of a thriller, kind of figuring out what's going on between the mother and daughter relationship. There are a lot of twists and turns that happen in the second half, and it's hard to really get into and explain exactly what's going on without giving away too many spoilers about it, other than saying that there will be some twists, or will be some twists and turns in the movie. Most of them I personally probably saw coming to some capacity, or started wondering about halfway through the movie. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the way that it kind of unfolded. I think I liked it overall. I thought it was an interesting drama and thriller, but like I said, it's mostly just kind of set in their house, and the daughter basically trying to figure out, the mother's intentions, and starting to question her as she's getting older, and realizing that, maybe her mother isn't being as truthful or forthcoming with her. So, not describing it the best, but that's basically in a nutshell what the movie was about. Overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun movie. I definitely thought it was interesting. I definitely liked the dynamic, and basically trying to figure out. You could see that something may be a little off with the mother, but you're trying to figure out. Is she a villain? Is she on the up and up, or is there something else going on that's more seedy about the mother? And that's what you're basically trying to figure out while you're watching the movie. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was interesting. It's not a very long movie. I think it's only about an hour and a half, so it's not a bad way to spend a quick hour and a half. But it's mostly just centered around the two of them. There's not a whole lot of other characters that are in the film, other than maybe like the mailman and like a person at the pharmacy. That's pretty much the vast of the characters. It's like the kind of movie that, I don't know if it's shot during quarantine, but it feels like it could have been easily done during quarantine, because there's not a whole lot of characters in it, because it's pretty much the mother and daughter, living in like this 2-story house, basically. But I liked it. I thought it was fun. I personally liked how everything kind of unfolded. And, like I said, not a bad way to spend an hour and a half, in my opinion. What was your take, Jason?
Oh, yeah. I was really on board with this movie for like the first hour. It's definitely my kind of movie, for sure. I mean, I love movies that are confined to, a restricted setting, like a house. I love movies where someone is trying to escape from somewhere, and the building suspense out of just like rudimentary things,
Right.
So it's my kind of movie, for sure. And I really, really love like the first hour, the way it kind of developed, and like like you said, like you and I have both seen a lot of movies like this, what I mean? Whether it's Misery or whatever else,
I will say it did remind me a lot of Misery, because there are points, like you said, where the daughter is wanting to like get out of the house, and maybe looking to kind of like escape from the mother, or escape from the house, and and feels like maybe she's trapped. There's a very good scene that's like of her like on the roof, like trying to like falling and climb on the roof because she can't move her legs. So there are some very good scenes, and the mom does kind of turn into like the bad caregiver, basically. You know what I mean? As the movie kind of unfolds a little bit. So, and you are kind of wondering like what her motives for all this was, but yeah, sorry not to cut you off, but yeah, I do agree that it reminded me of Misery. So.
Yeah, and I love those kinds of movies. I love those kinds of movies that build suspense out of a situation like that. And so I was really on board for like the first hour. I thought it kind of fell apart a little bit in the last half hour, when you just kind of get like this like one after another like revelations or twist, like you said. That by the last half hour, I was rolling my eyes a little bit. Also, I knew the whole time where it was gonna end up, and I thought like, I don't know. I don't want to get into details too much, but like by the time it was over, I was kind of over it. You know what I mean? Like I didn't think it ended quite the right way, and I was kind of rolling my eyes toward the end. But I thought Sarah Paulson was good. I really like Sarah Paulson. She doesn't really do anything here that I haven't seen her do before, like on American Horror Story and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the girl who plays she actually really is disabled. She actually really does. She really does utilize a wheelchair in her everyday life. So,
really? I wasn't aware of that. So,
yeah, and I think that was on purpose, that the filmmakers wanted to cast an actress who knew what she was doing, and you can kind of tell that, like there's some kind of like what you mentioned, that they go to the movies sometimes, and there's the scene where they go to the movies. There's some high speed wheelchair rolling. You know what I mean? And she looks, that sounds insensitive, but you know what I mean. Like she looked like she knew what she was doing. And I'm sure she does. So, but that was a really entertaining sequence. The
high speed wheelchair incidences.
Yeah. You know what I mean? She
really knew how to get around on that wheelchair, man. I definitely.
The rooftop scene you mentioned were really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, like overall, I was kind of rolling my eyes toward the end, and I've kind of seen a lot of movies like this, and it didn't do a whole lot different from the other movies that I've seen like this. So I liked it, but I wouldn't say I loved it. I wanted to love it, but I just think it could have not. I think the last half hour could have been better, basically. But yeah. It was all right.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I didn't have any issues personally with the last half hour. I thought it was fine. I mean, I knew where the story was going, so I can't say that I was like, oh my God, completely like thrown or blown away by, what unfolded at the end of it. But, so I kind of knew where the story was going, where the twist was going. And you could kind of get a sense and figure that out by the precursor of what was leading up to there was more going on than what, than what we thought was, with the mother and the daughter relationship kind of thing. So by the end, I kind of already had an idea of exactly what was happening there. So I wasn't like too shocked or too surprised about it. But yeah, I don't know. I personally didn't have an issue with the last half hour, because I kind of knew that it was gonna. And almost all movies do that, where the last half hour, once things start going, they just go quickly. I feel like most movies kind of do that. Like you see a little glimmer of horror and terror, and then like the last like half hour, once it's full blown kind of like horror film, everything just starts happening all at once. And so that didn't really bother me too much, because I've seen that done and with most horror films. So I personally didn't have an issue with how it wrapped itself up. I kind of expected that it was going to do something of that nature, but to each their own. But I don't know. Anything else you wanted to add about that one?
No.
Cool.
And I think it was definitely not made during quarantine. I think because actually, if you look at that poster, I think that poster, because it says it was going to be released on Mother's Day. So, and it wasn't. It just came out like a week or two ago, I think. So. Yeah. I bet that was when it was.
Yeah, I didn't think that it was. I just was saying that was the kind of film that felt like it could have been made during quarantine, because it's pretty much just two people the entire time for 80% of the movie. I felt like so.
Oh yeah. I just mean like that poster. That poster, I bet, was the one. I bet it was supposed to go to theaters in May. Probably before everything went topsy turvy.
Yeah, definitely. So I don't know. And then there's so many movies get shelved anyway, so you never know when they're actually made and they actually come out. So, no, definitely. But yeah, I guess with that said, let's just get into our reviews of both those films. So we'll start with Possessor. What is your overall grade and face you would give that one?
I enjoyed Possessor. I thought it was an original concept, well acted, interesting, and I look forward to watching it again sometime. So I give that my common 4 out of 5 B+ rating, which is this face, smile with some teeth, B+.
Cool.
Solid effort.
Cool. Yeah, I didn't quite jive with it as much as you did, obviously. So I went actually with the 2 out of 5 on that one. Like I said, it had some parts I like, but overall, it's not one that I'm probably going to revisit personally. So I'm going to go with 2 out of 5, and I'm going to give it this face, which is pretty much just a straight face. So didn't hate it, but didn't love it either. So, just thought it was okay personally. So, cool. And then moving on to the next film, Run. Overall grade you would give that one, and the face.
I gave that a 3 out of 5. So 3 out of 5. Yesterday, 3 out of 5 for me. It's either a B- or a C+. Yesterday it felt like a C+. Today it feels like I was being a little hard on it, maybe a B-. But either way, that's just this face, just a regular smile.
Cool. Yeah. So this is a rarity. I'm actually going to grade higher than you are. So I actually wanted to.
That's the first time. That's the first time ever, I think.
Yeah. So I'm actually going with a 3.5 out of 5 on this one. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. It's definitely one that I personally would revisit. So I went with 3.5 out of 5, which is this face. Smile with some teeth, baby. So
all right.
Yeah. So, yeah. But yeah. Basic crisscross between the two films. So, I probably graded Possessor a little lower than you gave Run.
Oh yeah,
but yeah, still. But who knows? With our grading scale, maybe it was the same.
Yeah, probably about the same.
But you never know. I enjoyed I enjoyed that one and thought it was fun. So like I said, 3.5 out of 5, and I would definitely rewatch that one again. So cool. Well, as always, we thank you for watching the show. If you've seen either or both films, let us know in the comments your thoughts, your takes on them. And then, as always, if you like the channel, we ask that you like, subscribe, and make sure you hit the bell notification so you don't miss any of our updates. And we'll be back again soon with another show for you. We thank you for watching and hope you have a great day. Bye.